everybody, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Zee Garcia, hello.
Sam Healey, hello everybody.
And if you've never seen us before, we are three guys who like to talk about and review board games. Today we're talking about the top 10 essential games every gamer should and must own. Now, a couple caveats here. First of all, that's obviously hyperbole. I don't believe any of us actually really thinks everyone should own any game.
As soon as you hear one of the games mentioned, if you do not own it, you must stop the video, pause it, don't stop, pause it, and go get that game.
And click buy somewhere.
Yes.
Maybe they should just add it to a cart, though. That way they don't pay the extra shipping. They could just keep adding them.
And send? Oh, I need that one too. No, wait.
All right. So that's the first thing. Secondly, we tried our best to make sure that these games are currently in print, or at least currently able to be purchased. But that could change easily as time goes by.
October 4th, 2016, these are in print.
Right. And so that could change in a month or so on, and there's nothing we could really do about that.
Yep.
This is a remake of a list we made several years ago, and I said when that list hit 1 million views, we'd make this one, and now our goal is 10,000. Right, for the second list?
10,000 views?
Yes.
That's it?
20?
Why only
Let's shoot a little higher, fellas.
Yeah, let's raise the bar
try
a
harder.
little bit.
Also, if you've never watched one of our videos before, we will occasionally make fun of each other's choices, because that's just what we do. It's not because we hate each other.
And we're pretty good at it, too.
We've had a lot of practice.
So, how did you guys pick your top 10 lists? Here, 10 essential games.
I think what I went for was games that I find, it's several things, but I tried to pick games from varying categories. So if someone only owned these 10 games, they'd have a good, fairly well-rounded collection. There is that. Then I also went for games that I would consider, in their style of game, something of a benchmark. A game that other games as they come out might be compared to this game, simply because this one is so spectacular. It's such a benchmark of that style. And a game that I find most people tend to like in that type of game as well. You know, so if if I showed this game to 100 people, I think most of them would like it. Then that's a good point for it to make it on the list.
I did pretty much the same thing. I came up with 10 different categories and 10 games for each of those categories. Games that I think represent that category the ones that I like. I wouldn't say the best, but they're probably, I guess you could say, the most common, the commonly liked games in those categories, from my experience.
Do you like them all?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I like every single one of these games. And every single one of them are on my shelf.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. I just think it is, once you get experienced in the hobby, you will find the games that are a little more niche, that appeal to you more than they might to most people, let's say. And that's great. Finding that is very pleasing, and it's fun to have those games that are kind of your games. These are easier introductory style games. You know, if you don't yet know what you like, start here and figure it out.
Yeah, these are games for me that kind of have a very gateway-ish feel to it. I stayed away from polarizing kinds of games, like war games. I didn't include any war games because they're very polarizing. People really like them, or people really dislike them, and there's very few that are in between. So I stayed away from those, and kind of just, what games do I feel that I would need to bring to a group of people that are brand new gamers, to give them a taste of a lot of different kinds of games.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. And I don't actually have a ton of crossover with my last list, actually. I think maybe 3 of mine are the same. And then, of course, there are some games where I'm like, well, I'm not saying this is necessarily the best. There are also other ones in that category. And so on.
Sure.
All right, well, let's get started.
Number 10.
All right, my number 10 is my party game installment for this list, and it is a game that we have enjoyed a lot over many live sessions, and that is Time's Up Title Recall. It's a really fun acting, kind of a memory type of game, because in the first round you have teams. So one person is giving the other person clues, the other person has to guess the title of the movie or the song or the book or whatever it might be that's on the card. But the person giving the clue can't say any of the words that are on the card, so it becomes a very comical rehearsal in trying to get the other person to say these words in this order, and sometimes you really do have to do that, just go one word at a time. But it's very fun, very comical, and it's also one of those games that actually you can enjoy just watching be played.
Yeah.
You don't have to just play it. You can really enjoy just watching other people play it. So that is my number 10, the party game installment, Time's Up, Title Recall.
So far, I approve. All right, my number 10 is in the kids game category, and I mean, not everyone has kids, but this is the kind of game I think that you could have and play with adults, possibly, or if people with kids come. It's a game that anybody can play, but it fits in that kids category, and that's Dr. Eureka. This is from Blue Orange Games. It essentially has vials of orange, green, and purple balls. You flip a card over, and it shows you the order you need to have them, and you do it by pouring them back in each other. It's a dexterity game, but also a logic game. It's silly fun. I don't know how often I would play it with other adults. Maybe in a silly situation. But with kids, it works really well, and it's a game that I think I'm not like, all right, let's play this game. Right? Well, that's how a lot of kids' games are.
Sure.
And so I feel, and this one's really fun. So that's Dr. Eureka.
Cool. My number 10 is an abstract game. I definitely enjoy abstract games, and I wanted to put one on the list that I thought had the ability to have that mass appeal. I enjoy a lot a series of games out there called the GIF series of games. Those can be hard to find, and so what I put on my list is a game I also very much enjoy, and I know you do well as well because it's in your Dice Tower Essentials line. So
Coincidence?
the game is called Onitama, and I think Onitama is just a fantastic game. It's got that streamlined feel to it, but it has a high degree of tactics, a nice amount of strategy. You can look a couple of turns ahead, but it's not going to bog down like something like chess would do. You know, if you play with someone who is clearly superior to you, you might not enjoy chess as much as I think you would enjoy this. You know, you can get up to speed a little more easily. Gorgeous production, fun game, short play length. This is a good one to try if you don't know yet if you like abstract games. Try this one, because this is a good test for that. So my number 10 is Onitama.
I toyed putting Onitama on the list. I avoided the abstract games category altogether, just because it's my least favorite, well, except for like solo games. And I'm not downing solo gamers. I'm just saying that's my least favorite kind of gaming
Watch the video where you
experience.
to this exact same
But
thing.
so I left abstract games. But if I had put it on there, either that one or another one probably would have been on it.
Yeah.
Number 9.
All right, my number 9 is I don't know what kind of game. This is it's a deck building game, and that is Dominion. Now, there's a lot of deck building games out there, and Dominion does not look that interesting. But if you try it out, this is a game I found that will appeal even to people who don't like Magic the Gathering. Let's say you say, ooh, Magic the Gathering. If you like Magic the Gathering, I think you'd like Dominion. But if you don't like Magic the Gathering, I still think there's a good chance you'll like Dominion. Now, Dominion is rapidly selling out as we speak. However, in a week or two, so probably by the time most of you watch this video, Dominion's second edition is out. They're replacing 6 of the cards in the original game. Who cares? Doesn't matter which edition you buy. Don't feel like there's cards that are not worth it. That's only the people who play this game tens of thousands of times, and that's unfortunately not an exaggeration. People play this game a lot. You can play it online and such, but Dominion itself, just a quick, you are buying cards and building your own deck of cards. It's kind of a revelation to many people because most people are used to playing with one deck of cards everyone's using. Here you have your own deck of cards, and you're trying to make your deck better than others. I think this is very solid fun, and if you do like it, they've made 11 expansions for you to have fun with.
So they're making a reprint of this? They're a second edition?
They're actually making a reprint of Dominion and of Dominion Intrigue. And they're getting rid of some cards that I don't care about, but they're also getting rid of Saboteur, which is a card I believe you hated when you first saw it.
Yeah. So will Dominion actually be fun now?
Ooh.
Well, you can buy the upgrade pack. Yeah.
Well, they have a fun upgrade pack?
That would be hilarious. Second edition, now with fun. I want to see that.
Shut up, you like it.
I do. My number 9 is my party game category. I wanted to pick something that was clever, that was interesting, that stood out from the party game crowd, but one that, unlike Sam's pick, and something that Tom would probably pick as well, is not culturally specific. And by that I mean something that is not language dependent, you know, or that you need to know movies or you know, famous celebrities or something like that.
Sam intro.
Yeah.
So my choice here, my number 9 is Dixit. And Dixit is a picture-driven sort of guessing game in which someone is going to pick a card from their hand. They're going to give a clue. They can say anything they want to. And then everyone will throw in a card. And it is everyone's job to guess the original card. And so you want someone to get it. You don't want everyone to get it, though, because you get no points if everybody guesses it, if you're too obvious. Or if you're too obscure. If no one guesses it, that's also bad. And I find that to be a tricky and interesting aspect to the game. In fact, something that's been, after this game came out, copied in other games. And I can see why. It's a clever way to score. So Dixit is going to be an attractive looking game on the table, and one that you can get just about anybody into. So give it a shot. My number 9 is Dixit.
My number 9 is the installment I have for my 2-player game category, and that is a game that just recently came out last year, I believe.
Last year?
Yes. And it is a game called Raptor. Raptor is a really neat 2-player game that has a hand management aspect to it, but it also has an outguessing your opponent, because not only should you play the card that's best used for you, you also need to try and play a card that is not the card that your opponent thinks you're going to play. And the whole theme of the game is one player takes a family of raptors, and the other player is a team of scientists, and the scientists are trying to capture the baby raptors and to perform tests on them and that type of thing. And the mama raptor is simply trying to protect her babies, and if a few scientists get eaten along the way, well, then that's just fine.
Delicious.
Yeah, exactly. Snacks. But it's a really tight thematic game for what it is, really. It could really be anything, but this theme really does work for it. I like how it really does. You really kind of sympathize or empathize with that mama raptor. You're trying to
Park. I'm never
get your.
Those
no, I think I do. That mama just wants to save her babies. So
babies are evil.
I really do enjoy it a lot. It's a staple, I think, at this point for a 2-player game category, and I think you'll like it. So go give it a whirl. Raptor, my number 9.
Number 8.
For my number 8, I wanted to pick a nice, meaty Euro game, something interesting and captivating, and I picked 5 Tribes as my entry for that. Something that sort of will satisfy those looking for a high amount of tactics and strategy. There are lots of mechanisms out there that would be simply too hard to replicate on a list like this. Worker placement, resource management, card manipulation. I mean, there's just too many things. This game has a lot of mechanisms that work together well. And so it's a good sampler, it feels to me, of, you know, again, to figure out if this is the sort of thing you like. If you try this, you are going to have an easier time pinpointing what you should play afterwards. Now, that makes it sound like this is a game you try to figure out what you want. That's not what I'm saying. This game's fantastic. It's one of my favorites. But it's going to give you a lot of flavors all at once. That's what I mean. And so 5 Tribes for me, I think you're going to enjoy it. It's got a good theme, gorgeous artwork, amazing production values. This is a looker, and it's a thinker. So I enjoy it a lot. 5 Tribes is my number 8.
It's beautiful on the inside and the outside.
That's
I believe
right.
is what you just said.
Oh, man, I'm getting all poetic.
All right. My number 8 is the installment I have for this list for the auction bidding mechanic kind of game, and that is a little small game called For Sale. For Sale is a really neat card game where you are trying to, first of all, purchase properties for the best price that you possibly can purchase them. And that's done through an auctioning mechanic or a bidding mechanic. And then the second half of the game is you're trying to sell those properties for as much money as you possibly can. And the person who is able to get the most money at the end of the game is the winner. It's a really quick game. It takes only about 20 to 30 minutes to play. And it is very fun. I've tried it with a number of different kinds of groups of people, and they've all enjoyed it. I've never seen, that I can recall at least, this game fail at the table. Usually people want to play it again because it is that fun and that fast. So my number 8 for the auctioning and bidding mechanism is For Sale.
It's a good one.
All right, my number 8 is, I don't know what the category is, I just think everyone should have it, and that's King of Tokyo. King of Tokyo, dice rolling. If you've ever played Yahtzee and you liked it and you wanted maybe some more and you thought, I also would enjoy playing as King Kong.
If I like this whole Yahtzee thing, but I want to be a beastie. A giant beastie smashing faces and buildings.
Kill some stuff and destroy stuff.
All right, here's the deal though. Some of you are like, oh, I would never touch that. You really would. I don't know that I've ever played King of Tokyo with someone who disliked it. Now, I've heard tales of people not liking the game, but that's like...
I've taught that game to a lot of people, and it's gone over well every time.
Yeah, because in the game, you really don't have to fight the other monsters if you don't want to. You can just try to roll and get combinations and get points. There's a sequel to it called King of New York, which is a little bit more strategic, I guess, and some people like that one better. I think I might like it a little better, but King of Tokyo I use more often. It's just so easy to jump into. There's expansions. The King of Tokyo 2nd edition was just released. It's pretty much the same as the 1st edition. There's some minor differences. So I'd recommend either one of those. Definitely, man, I've used this so many times in different situations. King of Tokyo.
Number 7.
Here's another one that, like my number 8 entry, 5 Tribes, I think is going to give you a lot of different flavors in one box. This is a favorite of my man over there, Sam Healey. Blood Rage is my number 7.
Wow, you put this on the Essentials.
Wow, I did. And
I didn't even put that on Essentials.
Wow,
I
feel bad now.
Again, for the category of game it seems to be liked by most people. And it seems to tick off a lot of boxes. You want big plastic minis going head-to-head, yes. But if that's not quite your thing, you can look at the game as an area control game, which it is. And it's got drafting, card drafting. And if you want to tackle getting victory points in a roundabout way, meaning not just go in there and fight the other guy, you can do that in this game too. So it's a game that will adapt itself to a pretty good degree to the way you want to play that game. And so that's why I find it to be a good game for folks looking to play a game with big plastic miniatures and combat and area control, all of those things together. Most people seem to like this one. I like it, and it's not even typically my style of game.
Wow, this is really weird. This is my number 13 game of all time, and then probably in Sam's top 50.
At least.
And we didn't put it on our list, and mostly just because, as much as I love it, I just didn't think it would be one everyone would want.
This is the next step game for me, and it doesn't belong on this list because I was using, not that this is top 10 gateway games, but I was using that feel, that kind of entry level. If you're just getting into the hobby, these are the games that you probably should own just to have a good smattering of games on your shelves. Blood Rage,
I agree with that.
Has a high learning curve, and
you think so?
See, I don't think so. I don't think it's that high.
Man.
I think these are 10 games that are good, yes, for people getting to the hobby, yes. But it depends what you're coming from also. Like, I won't teach this to my mom getting into the hobby. I might teach it to someone who's been playing video games for many years and is used to high levels of strategy, is used to lots of rules. You know what I mean?
I teach it to my
mom. They might be bored very soon by, like, For Sale, let's say.
True.
Or Onitama might be too simple for them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they want theme. They want big plastic miniatures. Look at that monster sitting. That's what I want. That game, like that guy who wants that, or girl, this is one for them, I think.
All right.
Out the gate, you know?
You said they would be bored with For Sale? All right, my number 7. For Sale.
Oh, so bored.
Right.
I want that beastie right.
So this is our first crossover. Sam already mentioned this one. I think this one's great. One of the reasons I like having this in any collection is because it's 3 to 6 players. Works well with all those counts. It's so easy to teach. The game is 2 halves. I don't even teach the second half. I teach the first half, and then I say, all right, and here's how the second half plays.
Sure.
They actually have just come out with a For Sale travel edition, which is like even cheaper. It's like $10.
Right.
Really?
It comes in a little like a card box, yeah.
Like the first one was very big to begin with.
Right.
It's a small game, fun artwork. I again, like with King of Tokyo, I've never had this one go poorly. Unfortunately, if you like stuff like Blood Rage, it's obviously boring, but for most people, For Sale is fun.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I love
This is
Blood
so
Rage.
weird that you're like the Blood Rage defender.
I know,
here.
right? I
Well,
love
again, I think for a specific crowd, I think it's the way to go.
Yeah, I can understand that, but I just think that it's a next stepper. If you, like, for example, if you go out and you find a card drafting game, he says, oh, I really like that, and you have an area control game, oh, I really like that too. Well, if you like both of those, your next step is to go get Blood Rage.
Well, how about if you've played Risk?
Ooh.
I don't know. I because Risk doesn't really have the same
Risk
card
is
drafting,
his number 7.
card play that Blood Rage has. So there's a pretty big disconnect.
Yeah.
The card drafting is a big mechanism in
I think
Blood
the
Rage.
big Risk lover out there who wants to get into more modern games can fly by with
All right,
Blood
Z's
Rage.
convinced me. Go buy Blood Rage.
Maybe. He hasn't convinced me yet. Not yet.
Better
You got
not
to
show
try
up in
some
your
other
top
stuff.
50.
Huh?
It's better not show up in your top 50 games of all time.
It will.
What?
Spoilers!
Dude, you
come
can't
on.
just drop a bomb like that.
I just did. All right, my number 7 is a dice game that has not yet been mentioned, and I entertained the thought of putting King of Tokyo on this list.
This is my least surprised to get you on his list.
Yeah, probably. Now, King of Tokyo was on the previous list that we did. It
was on all 3 of our lists,
yes,
actually.
It was. But this game has eclipsed King of Tokyo, and that is
It's Eclipse.
Bang the Dice game. No, it is not Eclipse. Bang the Dice game is my favorite. I think I can probably say that. My favorite go-to game for this dice rolling category that this is holding the place for. I really enjoy the theme. I love the whole in a western town shooting out, and the outlaws are trying to take over the sheriff's job. The sheriff's trying to stop the outlaws, and the renegade's just kind of back watching where all the chips are falling and trying to be the last person on top. The new expansion for it, Old Saloon, for me is a must buy. If you buy Bang the Dice game, buy Old Saloon with it, because it enhances the game that much and it makes it that much better.
And it's easy to add in.
It's a simple add. It's a simple add. So Bang the Dice game, my number 7, hands down.
Number 6.
And I have another crossover, but this time with Z.
Yay, Blood Rage!
I mean, okay, first of all, I've made a series of games called Dice Tower Essentials. They're not all going to be on this list because I can only put 10 games on this list. No, there's only 10 games on the list. Okay, so this is one that made the list, and this one is Onitama, which you mentioned already.
All right.
So there's going to be another one.
There's a lot of games that I played that I remember clearly, but I still very clearly remember the first time Z and I played this game. Because we didn't think much of it. We just got it out, we're like, we played it, we're like, wow. And we played it again and again. And that's the reaction I hear from people all the time, where they sit down and they play it. It's so fast, it's so interesting. A lot of people have played chess and checkers, and most people have played those in some form or fashion. So that's why I think this one is one that's so easy. But like, hey, let's try it. The rules are really simple. You teach it, and then they're like, ooh, wait, are you saying if I change to 5 cards, it's a different game? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's try it again. Really great game, Onitama.
Yep. All right, my number 6 is a game that actually made the crossover from the last list. This is the first one. I only have 4 of them. But this is my area control standee for this list, and that is Small World. Small World is really basic. Take your dudes and conquer as many territories as you possibly can. Everybody does that. It's Comes back to your turn, collect some things off the board, and go try to do it again. Spread and spread and spread until your race is at its limit, and then you put them into decline, and then you get to pick another race and do the same thing again. But you're getting points all the while. And one of the things that really makes this game shines is the way that races and special abilities are combined in this. You have 2 stacks of tiles for each of them, and they're randomized at the beginning of every game. So you'll have different combinations coming up. You'll have seafaring wizards, or you'll have diplomatic orcs, or there's a lot of different kinds of combinations.
That's normally how orcs are.
There's a whole bunch of different combinations, and it's really it's comical, but it's very fun and it's very engaging as well. So if you at all are interested in area control games, Small World needs to be one of those games that you look at.
This is another good one for that risk plus.
Yes.
I
think this is a truer step, and I'm not trying to kick a dead horse. This is a truer step
No,
from
that's fine.
risk.
Again,
And then after that, we get something like Blood
That's
Rage.
fine. That's fine. I mean, again, I say Blood Rage for those people that feel like I want to jump in.
Yeah, no,
into
I got
board
it.
gaming, and I'm not scared by complexity. There's people ready for that.
I will help you jump in to Blood Rage.
Sam loves it. My number 6 has been mentioned already as well, and this is Dominion, which is, again, a deck-building game. One that perhaps, and again, this is the obvious thing here, once you've played more games, you will find the specific shade of deck-building you like. I like sci-fi deck-building with resource management. Cool. You'll find a game for that. Believe me, there's 52,000 of them. But Dominion is a great introductory level to this. I think it is the benchmark. When a deck building game comes out, people will still draw from or compare it to Dominion. And there's a reason for that. It did what it does well. Is it the most interesting? I don't know. You got to play more of them to figure that out. But is it a good first one? Yes. No question. And as Tom said, with the second edition, it looks like they are cleaning it up, making it a tighter product, making it a better entry product as well. So, my number 6, Dominion, the deck building game.
Number 5.
All right, my number 5 is the installment for the social deduction genre that is really living it up right now. Very prolific right now, as far as there's a whole lot of games that are coming out for this.
Yes, there is.
And this is one of the games that was kind of a slow burn for me as far as how much I've liked it over the last few months. At the beginning, I enjoyed it. It was fun. But now I'm really liking it, and I really enjoy it. It was between this game and Spyfall, but I chose Deception, Murder in Hong Kong for a social deduction game. And the reason I did that is because with Spyfall, it can turn into, and it definitely feels like for the spy, everybody is against me. And sometimes that might be a little bit off-putting for people. But with the social deduction and Deception, Murder in Hong Kong, you definitely have a teammate. At least one, no matter who you are. And so it doesn't give that feeling of I'm all alone, and if I lose, it's because I messed up. Yeah, I'm all alone. But I really enjoyed it. It's basically just it's a whodunit, trying to figure out who murdered this person and who was the accomplice. And there's a witness involved, and there's a forensic scientist that's helping the investigators nail down all the clues and stuff like that. But it's really interesting, and each of the different roles plays differently. So I like it a lot. Deception, Murder in Hong Kong.
That's a really good game.
You know what I really like about Deception, Murder in Hong Kong is the fact that right from the beginning of the game, you have something to talk about.
Yeah.
Which you don't get in, say, Werewolf.
True.
Or in, like, The Resistance.
Right.
It's artificial conversation in those games. You make yourself talk about something. And in this one, you immediately are engaged in conversation based on what's on the table, which is why it's also my number 5.
Really?
Craziness!
Are you serious? All right.
Yeah,
cool.
Deception, Murder in Hong Kong is also my number 5. It's the best social deduction game out there, and again, the one that is going to get everybody engaged the quickest.
Yeah.
It's not my number 5, but
Oh man, get out of here!
I think it's a great game. I did consider it for one of my games though, because it is very solid, and I'm thinking this one is heading above Resistance for me as time goes by. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, my number 5 is a game I think everyone should play once, and that is Pandemic Legacy. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, because I like to talk to you about it, and I'm tired of no one else having played the game. No, but seriously, when I look back at the experiences of gaming, we already talked about this in our best experiences of 2015, but that was one of the best gaming experiences. I've started it again with my family, and it's such a great time. I talked with Eric about it. He finally finished his game, and I remember so much of what happened in that game.
Yeah.
It is a game that you play through once. You'll play 12 to 24 times, figure 17, 18, 19. And each of those games is going to take an hour and a half or so.
Sure.
And for the price of the game, that seems a little odd that a board game does that. But the gameplay will evolve, and it's a really good story. And it's called a legacy game. There's not a whole lot of legacy games out there, but this is still, in my opinion, the best of the lot. And it just, I'm always like, ooh, what's next?
You don't feel this is too strange of a game to be an essential game?
You know, no. I think everyone should try one of these games. I really do. I think this is a game a lot of people are really going to love.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's different. Trying a game is different than owning the game. I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah, but if you own this, you've tried it. You know, you can't...
Not necessarily. Somebody else could buy it. I'll try it if somebody else buys it.
Yeah, but if you try it, you should finish it, so you're going to, you know...
I guess. I don't know. I would... If you're going to put a Pandemic game on the list, I think it should be Pandemic.
Well, I put Pandemic on the list last time, and I like Pandemic, but man, every time I look at Pandemic now, I'm like... I like Pandemic Legacy better. I do. Pandemic Legacy really beat up on Pandemic for me.
That's fine. Again, I just think... These games are, in my opinion, and again, these are all rules I imposed on myself. I get that. Yeah. These are all games that I think in 10 years, if you own and you happen to like them, you'll still be playing. I know I'll still be playing these games, most of them.
Do you think you'll play Pandemic Legacy in 10 years?
I'll answer that question. Awkward silence. No.
Okay,
because
well, that's you though. I think
again, I might go.
Come on, no, seriously. I mean, think
it's a game that once you've played,
it's done.
Know, yeah.
You have to go. You have to go buy it again.
Game now.
I know. I might play again. I don't think most people would.
I don't think I will.
Okay,
that's why I think it's.
But I think everybody should get it. I really do.
That's closer to the truth.
So everybody should have their own copy of Pandemic Legacy.
Yeah. Hey guys, let's play Pandemic Legacy. Mine or yours today?
Oh my goodness.
That'd be crazy.
All right, moving on.
Number 4.
All right, my number 4 was actually in my top 3, so it did fall some spots. This was actually my number 1 last time, and it fell 3 spots. And there's no real reason in the game itself. I just have a higher regard for the other games currently that are on my top 3 spots. This one is Ticket to Ride, and it's holding the hand management or set collection aspect of the game. Ticket to Ride is really one of those games that it's reaching the level, at least in my mind and a lot of people's minds, I think, it's reaching the level of popularity of something like, well, it's probably still shy of something like Monopoly or to that effect. I mean, that has worldwide appeal. But I really think that Ticket to Ride is encroaching upon that territory, at least in some small respect, because people know Ticket to Ride. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have a copy of it, if you don't like it, that's fine. But if you don't like it, you've probably tried it. And that's what I'm trying to say. This is one of those games that if it's on your shelf, people will probably recognize it, and they'll probably want to play it. So that's why it kind of made my list. Number 4, it's not as high as it was last time, but it's still one of those games. It's an evergreen. You probably need to have this on your shelf if you're going to start a collection. My number 4, Ticket to Ride.
For number 4, here's my party game finally. I almost picked Dixit, because Dixit really is a great game. But I picked a game that's super hot right now, and I think most people, excluding the 2 people sitting at the table with me, will really enjoy this game, and that is Codenames, or Codenames Pictures. I just have not seen these games go poorly.
Right.
He's never watched one of the games.
And most people like it, right? I get that.
Come on, you can't argue that.
Most people are sheep. You're right. Yeah.
Codenames takes the idea of password. Trying to get someone else to guess something. There's a bunch of words on the table, and you give one-word clues, but you're trying to get them to guess multiple words. I personally like Codename Pictures a little bit better, and I also think Codename Pictures translates a little better across maybe language and cultural barriers, possibly. Especially with the pictures having, they're little, almost Dixit weirdish.
Yeah,
pictures.
they're weird on purpose. I like them. Yeah.
But the word one is fine too, and I found that people are kind of split 50-50 as to which version they like. But it's a very inexpensive, easy to get into. It's a team game. I'm a big fan of team party games, which is why I like Time's Up. Sam mentioned earlier, and I almost put that on my list too. I think those are like, if there was 3 party games I would tell you to go buy, it'd be Time's Up, Codenames, Dixit. I really would. And we put them on our list, so we're good.
Cool.
Very good.
My number 4 is a city building tile laying game. This is an old classic, Carcassonne. And get whatever flavor you want, really. Carcassonne has had many spin-offs. I would say if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say that, then just go get the one called Carcassonne, and that's it. You're good there. It's the classic, the original.
But if they bought Carcassonne something, like, oh, you're like, ooh, I like Carcassonne the South Seas, that sounds interesting, you'd be fine.
You'd be great. Yeah, you're set. They're all very similar to a certain degree. And the game is, I remember when I first played this game, it was a revolution to me. It was a game that you played. It's a board game that doesn't come with a board. Wait, what? You build the board while you play on that board, and it just blew my mind. I remember punching out these tiles the first time I set this up, and you.
He was shaking.
I was really, my mind was blown. You build the tiles, and you put little characters you have on there, and after a few rounds, you look at it and you go, "This looks like a board, like a real." Everything lines up, and it's crazy. So I think it's a very neat concept that a lot of people out there haven't encountered. This concept of laying tiles to build the surface on which you play. And this one does it, I think, still possibly the best. And it's going to appeal to a lot of people. It's good looking, it's simple, it makes sense what you do in the game. So my number 4 is Carcassonne. And again, if one of them has a theme you like better, then go with that one.
Yeah, if my wife were making this list, this would probably be on her number 1 essential game. It's probably in my 11, 12, 13 range because I think it is a very important game. I do like the tile laying aspect. A lot of the games I'm looking forward to in Essen this year are tile laying games.
Yeah.
So I do enjoy the genre. It just didn't quite make my top 10, but I can wholeheartedly agree. It's an important game to have.
Number 3.
All right, for my number 3, I almost picked Ticket to Ride because it really should be in everyone's collection. I mean, this was...
Wait, you did not pick Ticket to Ride?
I did it because I was picking one game per category, right?
Wow.
Well, no, I really like Ticket to Ride. But I think I've seen this game have almost as much success as Ticket to Ride, and so I wanted to change things up, so I'm saying Splendor. Splendor. Now, look, I know you're not a huge fan of Splendor, but Splendor, over the past 2 years, I have never seen a game be played so much by so many people. It is, at least in our game group, and maybe our game group's not indicative of the world in general, but in our game group, I feel pretty confident it is the most played game, and there's not even a close second in the past 2 years. It is played consistently. Now, we're starting to see it die down a little bit, but the game looks boring. You look at that box cover, it does not look interesting. You open it up, and there's poker chips and cards, but once you play it, the concepts are so simple. And I found that this is a good game I think people should have in their collection because it's a great one to get other people who don't normally play games to play games. Whenever I've taught Splendor to non-gamers, and I don't like using that terminology, but like my parents and other people.
I like to say new gamers myself.
New gamers, yes. Well, my parents probably will never become gamers, but yes.
Right.
But it's really easy to play. It's great to throw the chips around. People like that. It's a simple, easy, fast game, and it plays really well with 2 and with 4. So, Splendor.
I think for me,
however, you could convince me to say Ticket to Ride.
I guess the big one there for me, I agreed with most everything you said, and the fact that the game does not really look appealing. I agree with that. And I think...
I agree with your negative comments, sir.
No, I agree with everything you said. I just find it to be a hard sell for people when a game isn't pretty. I don't want to play a game. I remember when I got into gaming, if your game looks boring, I don't want to try it.
Well, you still feel that
when
way.
Ticket to Ride, I do, right? It makes sense, right? I mean, you look at the thing and you go, pretty, yes. Ugly, no.
There's a reason there's such a thing as visual appeal.
Right.
Yeah.
Ticket to Ride has the charm of the age it's set in and this concept of traveling the world or the United States or whichever one.
And the
those
cool
things are hooks.
Train things are...
Yeah, those things are major hooks. I guess I'm missing the hook in Splendor.
If that's true, then why is it doing so well?
I don't know. My number 3 has been mentioned already, and this is King of Tokyo. King of Tokyo, a dice game that, again, I think if you have played any of the, the classic dice games like Yahtzee, something like that, you want a little something else, this one's not going to disappoint you. It's got a fun theme. It's got a Hollywood theme, something you can get into, and it's pretty easy to teach as well. I've taught this to high school-aged kids. I've played with parents, siblings, nephews, all sorts of ages and demographics. And everybody can understand what you're doing in the game. It just makes sense. And get into it, And the one thing that I would say is slightly more complicated is the cards, because as you are playing, rolling dice, doing things, you can upgrade your monster. He gains new abilities. And you buy cards in order to do that. They all have text. They tell you what to do. Yeah, that's slightly more complicated, but the good thing is it ramps up into the game. I don't need to touch those until you've played a few rounds. And now that you've got some energy, I can say, by the way, you can spend it on that stuff. Oh, okay, cool. At that point, the game's got you, So that's what I like about it. Easy to teach, easy to play, huge appeal. And like Tom said earlier, I think this one is going to go over better than King of New York for new gamers. I still like it better myself. I just find it to be more visceral. It's a more engaging game experience. So my number 3, King of Tokyo.
My number 3 is the installment that I have for worker placement category of games. And this one was on my last Essentials Games list. And it was at number 3, and it is still at number 3, so it has a lot of staying power. Stone Age by Z-Man Games. It has a worker placement mechanic. It has dice rolling to produce resources, and then you use those resources to build huts, to do a bunch of different things. You're basically the head of your clan, and you're trying to build your village and make it more profitable by using a number of different things, as far as wood, brick, stone, and gold, and you have to feed your people and all this other kind of stuff. But there's a lot going on in the game, but I think for me, it is my go-to worker placement game. I thought about possibly putting Kingsburg in this spot, but I like Stone Age a good bit better because it just has a more, I know this sounds weird, but a more generic feel to it. Kingsburg has that fantasy level theming on it, and Stone Age doesn't have that.
I think Stone Age is prettier also.
It is, yes, it is, very much so. But my number 3 is Stone Age for worker placement.
Number 2.
My number 2 has been mentioned as well. We have lots of crossover on this list, and this is one that Sam put on his list, and Tom should have put on his list. Ticket to Ride.
Yeah!
Ticket to
Pretend
Ride.
it was on everyone's list. Get a Ticket to Ride.
Get Splendor out of here.
No, I'm not. Get Splendor too.
We've talked about it plenty. I made some points while he was talking about it. I think it has that mass appeal, and I think this is the kind of game that in 20, 30, 40 years, you will be able to go to Grandma's house, open the closet, and it's there, and pull that out and play. Of course, I guess the grandmas would be playing games now.
We're going to be the grandpas.
We're going to be the grandpas then.
Yeah,
Hey,
but
kids.
I was a kid.
Check this out.
Like
you want to play Splendor?
Where's Splendor, Grandpa?
No.
It's the kitty box
Pop.
over there. Go get it.
So my number 2, Ticket to Ride.
Okay. That was an abrupt ending. All right, my number 2 is my card drafting game for this list, and that is Seven Wonders. Seven Wonders has a historical theme on it that everybody recognizes. It is just a card drafting game. And I know that sounds very minimalistic, but there's so many different avenues to victory in this game as for it to just being a card drafting game. It's one of those games that I have used in a lot of different gateway situations, and it has gone over like gangbusters every single time that it's hit the table. Now, did they play the game well the first time they played it? No. But they wanted to play it again immediately after we finished that first game. And that's what I'm looking for more than rather did they play well, did they use optimal strategies and all this other kind of stuff. They enjoyed the game so much that they wanted to play it immediately after. And this is the kind of game that I've seen people, as they're playing the game for the first time, they're looking it up on their phone to look into buying it. So Seven Wonders is one of the games, especially to find out if you enjoy the card drafting mechanic. This is one of the games that you should at least try, and if you really do enjoy it, it's a must-buy, really. My number, what is it, 2? Seven Wonders.
Yeah. All right. My top 2 were 2 games that I just were easy for me to recommend. The first one, number 2 here, is... I was getting all choked up there for a moment.
It's gonna be okay. I know this is very sad and dramatic. Oh, it's getting dramatic. Tell us what it is, Papa Tom.
No, it's Sheriff of Nottingham.
Oh.
Sheriff of Nottingham is, again, full disclosure, in the Dice Tower Essentials line, but it's in there for the reason that I've never seen this game go poorly.
Right.
I love the game, how it's essentially... You are handing a bag to someone and saying, this is what's in that bag, and they have to assess whether you are lying or telling the truth. And if you wish to tell the truth, you say, I can't fool people, then do so. But you also still get to try to guess if someone else is lying to you or not, and trying to hide contraband in the bags. It's just really an entertaining time. It's not necessarily a game that you role play, but it comes into that almost every time.
Sure.
People make up stories.
Yeah.
Oh, my sister's sick and I need to get these apples to her, and it just comes out in the game.
Right.
And
right.
some of my most fun gaming experiences have been with it. It's easy to teach. I really like it. Obviously, Sheriff of Nottingham.
It's a game that, like, for me, Deception Murder in Hong Kong happens more among the people and less about what's happening on the table. You know what I mean? It really is that sense of play among people.
Yeah, I guess this would be... I don't know if I'd say this is a social deduction game, but it's like a cousin to that category.
Yeah.
It's a social activity game almost.
Yeah.
Because it's the social activity of, I mean...
Bluffing and sweet talking your way out of things and everything, yeah.
And finally, number 1.
All right. Here we go.
This is something we normally do to decide who's
Going
says
to go
their
fast.
number 1 here first.
Actually, who chooses the order? What
That
are you
is so
doing?
terrifying.
17, baby. The high roll
That should
matters.
be disqualified. I'm going to hit your fan.
And I got a 16 and bumped you to a 16, so we're tied. You be
right,
quiet.
here we go.
That's how dice work. Sam rolled a 1.
I just shot myself in the
critical
foot.
failure. All right, Tom, you're first then, or you pick who goes first.
We'll just go down the line. You, me, Sam.
All right, fine. Is it because my number 1 is obvious?
Probably.
I don't know what your number 1 is. Is it the same thing as your number 1 favorite game?
Of all time?
Yeah.
Fine,
Yes,
all
it
right.
is. My number 1 is my cooperative entry for the list. I find cooperative games to be really important these days, honestly, and this is pandemic. And what I mean by important is that they
He
are
means
such...
all political people running for office should be required to sit down and play a game of these. Wouldn't that be funny?
That'd be something else. But I find
Pardon
cooperative
for
games
public
to be very disarming for folks that when you say, hey, you want to sit down and play a board game, they go, I don't like competing, or I don't like learning a bunch of rules, or I don't like being mean. And those are all valid arguments. I agree with, I get that. A cooperative game will diffuse a lot of those issues. You're all working together. You don't have to know all the rules out of the gate because I'm there to help you along the way. It doesn't matter that I know the cards you're holding. You can show them to me. So there's none of that hidden, problem where, oh, I can't help you with what you're holding in your hand. Sorry. And so I find it to be an amazing category, not just because of how fun and interesting they are, but they're such a good way to get into gaming. And Pandemic, for me, does it the best. It's got a great scenario, the theme is amazing. It's got high levels of tactic. It's engaging. Your turns feel like you want to do more, so it's got that tension, but every now and then you pull off something amazing, and I think games that do that feel rewarding to the players, and the whole thing is just an amazing package. So my number one is Pandemic. If you haven't played it, haven't played a co-op game, go and grab this one.
Can't argue. All right. My number one is a card drafting game. And now you're going to disagree with this, unfortunately, but Sam is wrong. This game just works so well, and that is Sushi Go. And it's not currently in stock at the time of recording this video, but I think that's just because they're reprinting it.
How about Sushi Go
No,
Party?
no, Sushi Go is in stock. I'm saying, I was about to, let me finish my sentence. But when Sushi Go Party comes back in stock, that's the one you should get, if possible.
Okay.
Sushi Go is currently in stock at Cool Stuff, but Sushi Go Party is out. I think it's sold out so fast. But if you can get that one, Sushi Go is just an amazingly, first of all, it's extremely inexpensive. Really cheap. Then it's an easy game to play, and this is the one game more than any other, I think, at this point, that's my gateway game, style game. If someone comes over and like, hey, let's play this. Sushi, people like eating sushi, people like drafting the cards. It's simple to explain. It's an easy rules. I get the Seven Wonders thing, and I know that, but the Seven Wonders, I have to sit there and explain why you shouldn't let one person get all the science cards every single game. And with Seven Wonders, I can't say, here's how you play and leave the table. I have to sit there and play the whole game with people every time. And that's fine. It's a good, solid game. And I probably actually like Seven Wonders better than Sushi Go, but still an amazing game. And I think it's one that, it's that game. What do I do? Here, kids, here's a game to play. Here, adults who came over for dinner and they don't want to think too hard. I don't know. It's a game I think should be in collections.
So you are saying, just for clarification's sake, Sushi Go Party?
If possible, yes.
Okay.
Because Sushi Go Party honestly like quadrupled the amount for a still inexpensive price.
Of options in the game. It is basically the same game.
Right. It was, like I said, it was currently out of print when I made this list, and I was like, oh man, I can't put Sushi Go. And I was like, oh, but Sushi Go's in print, fine. Sushi Go Party's coming back in print. Not even a question.
Sure. It will.
All right, my number one is the cooperative game installment for this list. I really do enjoy cooperative games, and it is probably one of the main categories that got me into, or deeper into, gaming, because it kind of opened, up until this point, I had been a competitive gamer. You know, stuff like Risk and that type of stuff, and Monopoly and all that kind of stuff. It's very competitive games. Cooperative games opened the gamut, so to speak. And Shadows over Camelot is my favorite cooperative
So
game.
that is in print then?
Yes, it is.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That is, I just assumed it
Cool
had
Stuff
been
has 20+ copies.
All right, well, there you go. Until you make this list, now they're gone.
Yeah, right. Hopefully. But the idea behind me picking this instead of something like a Pandemic or something to that effect is that it's just more it's my favorite cooperative game. And I'm not saying anything negatively against Pandemic, because it is a fine cooperative game and I enjoy that game a lot too. I just like Shadows more. And this was recently refreshed in my memory. I got to play it a couple weeks ago up in Manchester, Connecticut, and really had a great time. And one of the things that I really like about it is that people can stand up and leave, and it doesn't change the game at all. People can sit down and start playing halfway through the game, and it doesn't change the game at all.
That is a really amazing thing. I wish more games had that ability.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's one of the reasons that it kind of edged out over any of the other cooperative games out there, because I do like a lot of them. This one has been in my collection for a very long time, and it should be in your collection too. So my number one, Shadows over Camelot.
All right, so once again, we are not saying that if we came to your house and were missing one of these games, we would sit there and think in the back of our heads.
We would leave in a huff.
What's wrong with these people? No, really, there's a lot of great games to get. But if you are looking to buy great games, seriously, any of these games is a good shot for you. Really, it is.
Cool.
And so anyway, that's that. Thanks for watching the first one a million times. Maybe you'll watch this one a million times. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Zee Garcia. Thank you, everybody.
Sam Healey. See you on the flip side, y'all.